Hello, and welcome to Real Person Reviews. I'm Sam, and I'm a real person, and today I want to talk to you about Super Metroid for the Super Nintendo. And, I guess up front here, there's going to be a written review, so you can look forward to that. I've linked that in the comments. You can look at that, not the comments, I've linked that in the description, so you can check that out before, after, or instead of this video review. And I might recommend that here, because I haven't done a review in a little while here, so my first review back, trying to do these after a bit of a break. Might be a little rusty, but hopefully it's okay. Also, I may miss some details, because it's been a while since I played the game, so I didn't record this right at the time. Hopefully it's still going to be okay, but you're going to get the best information from that written review. Highly recommended. Highly. And also, well, this is the Super Nintendo game. I played it on the Wii U Virtual Console, so it's the same game, it's just I played it with a different controller, if that matters to you, and that's where the footage is coming from, obviously, so I think that's it. Let's just, I guess the one other thing is that, this is a Super Metroid. I already reviewed Metroid Zero Mission, so I might gloss over some of the specifics about general Metroid stuff, but, you know, it's not like it's much to explain. You can just jump into this one, if you would like. Totally fine. Alright, I think that's good. Let's just, enough bullshit, let's jump into it. So, Super Metroid is what, you would probably refer to as a Metroidvania, because it's a Metroid game. And it's a 2D, action-adventure game. It's like a platformer shooter, but it's also like adventure-y. So you go around in this big planet, and like the story, I guess, is more or less a follow-up. This is actually the third Metroid game in the series, with Metroid and Metroid 2 Return of Samus being before this. And the events of those are supposed to have played out. And at this point, basically the game will open up and kind of give you a recap of this plot. But the last Metroid is in captivity. And you bring the last Metroid to this research facility so they can find out more stuff about it. And then, upon leaving that research facility, you immediately get a distress call from there. And apparently, I guess, like, the space pirate Ridley comes in and steals the Metroid and flies off to planet Zebes. So you gotta go to Zebes and, get the Metroid back and all that good shit. So you go onto this unknown planet, and you go down, and it's just this alien planet. Once again, you're tasked to just run around and fight alien life. You're getting power-ups along the way as you're running around, shooting things, jumping around, all that stuff. And the more items you get, the more abilities you tend to get, and you can use those abilities to further explore these different areas. There's also some power-ups you can get, like expansions, I guess, to your health and to your other weapons that you acquire along the way, so that you can, survive better and use, more ammunition. Pretty simple Metroid stuff. It's nothing real new here at this point, but it's just on the Super Nintendo, so it's all super. There's some new things here. There's things that are reworked a bit. And it's a whole new world to go into, a hostile alien environment that you have to feel out and figure out for yourself. And really, that's all you do is explore and try to get to new areas, and then backtrack and look for secrets and find new areas to go to try and progress through the game, and just better yourself along the way to complete this ultimate mission, which is set up in this premise in the beginning. I think there's a lot of things here that are really great. There's a lot of different nuances in this one, such as, your jump is a little different, you're a little floatier with your jump, but you can do wall jumps now, being able to jump off of the wall, and there are other things here and there, but I don't really want to tell you too much of those specifically, because they're kind of spoilery. But what I will go into now is the positive stuff that's really awesome about this, because it takes a lot of the concepts of the previous two Metroid games and just does them better. It has a nice, colorful environment like the first Metroid did, but it combines it with the unique appearance with different textures and such, and music and all that the second Metroid did. Also, it adds in this really awesome new thing where you have a map, which is something the other games were sorely lacking. It has a map system so you can tell where you've been and where you haven't been. And it's a good way to try to gauge your progress, is going through and trying to uncover all of the map. And there are still some secrets that aren't necessarily marked there, but you can try to find them, and it's an interesting system. It works pretty well, and it's a system that works actually so well that a lot of games, even today, are still using almost the exact same kind of map system to go around these big interconnected worlds, like Super Metroid did. Also, I think that it's really good, like, with the colorization of everything is really good, too. It's very vivid and colorful, because even though it's this cool, like, scary alien environment where you don't know what anything is, and you're still feeling everything out for yourself, it still, like, looks very vibrant and, like, interesting. It's detailed, but it doesn't have to look all grim or anything. It still looks very, very stylized in a really cool way. It's very pleasing to look at. And the music is pretty awesome. I mean, I'm not a real big fan of the Super Nintendo sound chip in general, I guess, but I think the music in here is really great, especially for a lot of the atmosphere that goes on. And the whole game still has that whole isolated feeling where you're just kind of running around and trying to figure out all this stuff on your own, and it's designed in that brilliant way where you're going around and you get items, and it's like, oh, I get these new abilities, and then you kind of have to learn how to use those abilities to progress through the rest of the game, which is awesome, because instead of just having the game telling you, like, oh yeah, here's a tutorial segment, hit this button here to do this specific thing, like, it just kind of lets you figure it out on your own. Even though it's clearly designed so that you would figure it out, it's a way to make you feel smart for actually figuring it out yourself, while also being clear enough where it's like you're not just totally confused as to what the hell you're supposed to do. It's not a cryptic mess. And it's just this beautiful combination that gives all of this satisfaction to the player when they play it. It's great, and I absolutely love that. And it's such a tight, genius design with that. The control is very good as well. It's very tight, and it's very responsive, and it reacts in the ways, like, it's very consistent for most of the things that when it reacts, that, like, it's just such a tight design. I mean, honestly, one of the best designed games I've ever played. It has one of the absolute best designs of any game, I think. So that's a real damn big plus. Also, is a pretty good length game. There's a lot of secrets for you to get, but they're still rather optional. There is like a percentage for completion, but you're not necessarily forced to do that. So there's a whole freedom of, like, how much do you want to do, and, like, what is your goal? Do you want to speed run it, or do you want to try and get everything, or are you just happy experiencing whatever you experience when you play? I just kind of went for whatever I could find, and after that I was like, okay, that's good enough. And it has quite a difficulty curve. It does get pretty tough in parts. So you do have to get your skills down and learn how to do things. You have to be okay with backtracking, because you're going to be doing that in a lot of places in order to find new places. And you're going to have to be open to experimenting and adventuring. It is very much an adventure game that you have to really explore this place. So a lot of things it just does really, really well. Some really cool boss fights, and just generally very pleasing design, and especially for this kind of this genre of game, it is one of the best you're gonna find in the genre. I mean, there's a reason why it's called Metroidvania, and Metroid is a big part of that. Most notably, Super Metroid. So yeah, they fixed a lot of those kinks, but this game does have a few of its own little quirks to it as well. And I think a lot of these are nitpicky for me, I guess, but things like there's this grapple thing you get later on, and it seems kind of hard to gauge, your trajectory when you're using that, like when you're going to go, really far, or if you're not going to go that far. Sometimes it's difficult to tell how your trajectory is going to be once you let go. That's a little frustrating. And the jumps are a little floatier than I would care for. You can work around them, and the game is designed around those pretty well. But it can be frustrating sometimes, where you feel really slow and floaty when you don't want to. Also, a lot of parts where you can kind of sequence break, and I don't think that was maybe it was intentional, but it doesn't feel like it was intentional, and that definitely takes away a bit from the whole design of it. I mean, this thing is near perfection, but you can sequence break this stuff, and because of that, it feels a little loose, like they didn't think that, oh, maybe someone would figure out how to do this. Then again, it also was kind of cool that you could figure out how to sequence break and try to use that to your advantage, getting to places you're not supposed to be, and seeing how you can get out of those, hoping you don't get stuck. So there is some merit to it. I just think that overall it feels like more of an oversight accidentally than something that was put in there as an intentional kind of thing for people to find, I guess. I also had a little bit of an issue with the map system. Don't get me wrong, map system is great. I love that they have it in there, because the game really needs it. It's just that, mostly my eyes, I guess, the way they picked the colors, like, it's harder for me to tell, necessarily where I have and haven't been. When they're totally in the same spot, like, the same connected room, I can tell. But when it's, like, separated by, like, those white borders of the walls on the map screen, then, like, sometimes, especially when there's, like, a little dot in some areas, and it's like, okay, here's a dot in here, and it's like, if I haven't been in that room, it's harder for me to tell if I've been in there or not, because it makes it look lighter, and generally the places you have been are, like, lighter than the places you haven't been on that map screen. I don't know if it's a different color or just, like, a lighter shade of the same color. You guys would have to figure that out for yourselves if you can see colors better than I can. But, like, that was a little frustrating for me personally. Also, it was a little annoying that there's that dot that goes into certain places, and it's like a square, I guess, but it's like that square dot in certain rooms, which is to indicate that there's something in there for you to get. But once you get it, the dot's still there, so you're never sure if you went in there and saw it and then left and had to come back, or if you already got it. A lot of memorization that has to go into there, and that's fine, I guess. It's about backtracking and exploring areas again and all that. But sometimes it can feel a little tedious just trying to remember exactly where you're supposed to go because of the lack of detail in the map. Not a huge complaint, and I definitely get why that's still a cool thing to have, because the more you play, the less of an issue that's going to become. But it can be a little frustrating sometimes to be like, where the hell was that thing? Where was I supposed to go? But that's just a thing that happens to everyone, I guess. It's just, you deal with it, gamer problems. So, I don't really have a whole lot for gripes in this game. There's not a whole lot that really, like, got me that upset, I guess. So, hard to really say much negative about Super Metroid. So that's Super Metroid. I'd hold it up, but like I said, I don't have a physical one. I don't have a Super Nintendo either, so I couldn't, and I think it's expensive. But what I will say from Metroid, or Super Metroid, is that it's fucking fantastic. It's amazing. It just fixes all these problems that I had with the first and second Metroid games, and it's one of the best designed games I've ever played. It is damn near perfection. It is so fucking good. And if you're into Metroid games or Metroidvania style games, that kind of thing, you really should play Super Metroid. And yeah, it's hard to get, on the Super Nintendo, because it's probably kind of expensive. But if you get it, you can get it on the new 3DS eShop, and you can get it on from the Wii Shop channel. You can get it from the Wii U eShop. I guess as far as I know, those are the only other places you can get it, but, on Wii U eShop, where I got it, I think it was only, Super Nintendo games or something like $8, something like that. So, it's a hell of a good deal for that price, and even getting it, an actual physical copy, this could be worth probably, $30 or $40, I would say, of just actually buying it. I don't know how much it's valued at right now, but I would say that it would be worth paying that much for, because the amount of time you're going to get from playing it and then replaying it over and over again over the years, because it's so great, I think it definitely would be worth the investment to get it if you were really serious about, actually getting the real deal. So, highly, highly recommended. It's fucking great. I do still have to review Metroid and Metroid 2. I have those. I'm working on Metroid 2, so you can probably look forward to that next for these, probably. And the Metroid Prime ones, I want to get to those, too. There's a lot of Metroid games to play, huh? Wow. Yeah. So, hopefully, you guys, hopefully you guys are into Super Metroid, I guess. I don't know. What's your favorite Metroid game? And, I think mine might still be Zero Mission by a hair, but just barely, because the controls are just a little better. Has a few little tweaks that I really liked about it. what was your favorite part in Super Metroid? I don't know. I don't know what to ask you guys. Just what would you like to see next for other reviews and that kind of stuff. Any kind of things you want to leave in the comments, you go ahead. I just had a great time with this game and I wanted to share it with you guys. And it's a fun one to talk about too, because most of the awesome stuff in this game comes in the stuff that you find and stuff that you do. Things that I don't really want to spoil, because those are like the meat and potatoes of the game. So definitely check that out, and you know, like, all I can say is highly recommended. You could do worse spending $8 in the eShop. You could do a hell of a lot worse. It's a damn good value for that, so don't pass it up, okay? That's all I'm gonna say. I don't have a good ending for it.